Hello, class. Today we are going to start with some notes. So we're going to be doing our day one learning target 1 notes. So our first learning target is I can explain the difference between qualitative and quantitative observations and identify examples of both. So our to-do list, step 1, you should have already created some sort of physical science folder in your Google Drive. Step 2, you should have watched the note-taking video so that you know how to take notes, and hopefully you've decided whether you're going to use the digital notebook or do some paper notes in a notebook. And then step 3, you're doing this now, watching the Learning Target 1 lecture video and take some notes as well. Remember, you can always pause this video to take some time to do those notes. And then step 4 is to complete the Learning Target 1 assessment. So that'll be your first assessment. So this is the first thing you want to write down. Observations. So our definition of observation is collecting information about the world around us. So make sure you write down that definition and then using it in a sentence. We are constantly making observations of the world around us. So some of the main points you really want to take note of here is make sure you're writing down the definition and using it in a sentence. And then if you're able to draw some sort of picture or find a picture on the internet that reminds you of the word observations. So there are 2 types of observations. There we go. Oops, I should probably delete these for you, huh? So let's take a look at this tree here. What observations can you make? So take a moment, pause the video, and think about some of the observations you can make. All right, so let's come back. Some observations you can make. You could count the number of apples that are on the tree and on the ground. That's one observation. Another observation could be the colors. Think about any other observations you can find. Maybe you're counting the number of branches. So some observations we made, some involved numbers, right? Counting the number of apples, the number of branches. Some involved the sight, so the color. So now let's talk about our 2 types of observations. So the first observation type that we're going to talk about is qualitative observations. So the definition of qualitative observations is a quality or characteristic of a given object or event. So you can think about the 5 senses. And so one example we have is the apples on the tree are red. So that's a quality. So again, thinking about our 5 senses, our sight, our hearing, our sense of smell, sense of taste, and touch. So take a moment to write down the definition, use qualitative observations in a sentence, and you can draw some sort of picture to help you out. All right, so now let's talk about quantitative observations. This is the second type of observation we're going to talk about. So the definition is an observation in the form of quantity. So you can think numbers. So an example, if we looked back at that tree, there are 16 apples on the tree. So that involves a quantity, so numbers. So using it in a sentence, quantitative observations are often based on measurements. So again, you can think about measuring the length or the width, the weight, time. You can think about measuring a liquid. So in ounces or liters or milliliters. Quantitative is thinking about numbers. And then qualitative is thinking about a quality or a characteristic. So that is all for our notes for today. So make sure that you wrote down these definitions and you practice using them in a sentence. And that is it for your notes today. When you are ready, I want you to go and take the Learning Target 1 assessment that goes with about qualitative and quantitative observations. Please let me know if you have any questions.